everybody, this is Dr. Lisa Ann Homick from Homick Advanced Chiropractic, and this is Brain Snob, episode number 109. You may be watching this on my Patreon channel. You get the sneak peek. You get to watch it first before everybody else, so I hope you are enjoying that perk. But I want to talk about cholesterol. There is a lot of controversy about cholesterol, and it makes me wonder, well, of course, we're going to have controversy about COVID as well. And that's why I have on my Patreon channel, COVID Chameleon, Hiding Real Sickness, as an opportunity for you to allay your fears, not be so scared and nervous about what's going on, because we need more of us to be brave and better understanding of what's going on, because we need to stay healthy, and what's going on currently is not healthy. And I do talk about different things in that series, the COVID Chameleon series. Go check that out. But let's talk about cholesterol. I have a bunch of books here, and I was looking for more of my books. I think I've loaned them out, but you've heard of The Cholesterol Hoax by Sherry Rogers. I've loaned it out. I don't have it. It's a great book with different studies about how we're looking at cholesterol wrongly. Can I say that? We're wrong about cholesterol. Her other book, How to Cure Diabetes, she has a whole chapter on cholesterol in here. And she discusses why trying to get rid of cholesterol is not going to be helpful, and using drugs to do it, not helpful. Here's her other book, Is Your Cardiologist Killing You? She talks about the cholesterol controversies. And the Deflame Diet, Dr. David Seaman, he has a chapter in here dedicated just to cholesterol, because it's controversial. It's got people taking medicines that do more damage than good. In fact, let's talk about the statin damage crisis. This is a book by Dwayne Graveline, or Graveline. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but he's a medical doctor and also an astronaut. He is deceased now, but he developed serious side effects from statin drugs, tried to report it to the FDA, had numerous names of patients who had amnesia from statin drugs, and he sent it all to the FDA. I don't think he got a response from it. He is deceased now because it weakened his whole body, and he wrote a book called The Statin Damage Crisis, highlighting what happened, how it happened, and how hard he worked at getting his health back. He did make some improvements, but in the end, he was damaged permanently. And you can go to his website called spacedoc.com. The Great Cholesterol Myth by Dr. Sinatra and Johnny Bowden. I own that book, but I think I loaned it out to somebody, so I can't show it to you. But it just came out with a new edition a few days ago, and it's #1 in Amazon in the section on heart health. So it's already #1. I think Johnny Bowden said in one of my newsletters that it was already #1 before it was released, before the new edition was released. So there's a lot to look at when it comes to cholesterol. And there are a lot of speakers on the low carb circuit, Low Carb Down Under, Low Carb USA. They really dive into the issue of cholesterol. And here's what they say. Just because we can measure it does not mean we understand it, and does not mean we should dive in and try to manipulate it. So these are good questions to ask yourself. Just because we can measure something, is it going to be helpful to us? And that's why I want to jump to the COVID controversies, because we have a PCR test, and it does measure something. But here's the thing, just because we can measure it doesn't mean we know what we're doing. Are we accurately telling people what's going on in their bodies that's empowering them to do the right things for their health? And that's where I want people to pinpoint their questions. The PCR test, the testing they're doing for this COVID pandemic. We know it's looking at virus particles, actually RNA particles, and they're fragments, and the testing amplifies them. And if they're amplified too much or too little, you're going to get a false positive, you're going to get a false negative. Very controversial. And are we doing the right thing by using that test? And now it seems like we're testing more than ever since the summer. And wow, the news stories are crazy. I don't even know which ones to believe anymore. And so I'm asking people, don't get so excited and upset about what is going on in the news. We can partially see fragments, and we are matching them to other genomes, such as the human genome. What is that helping us with? I'm looking at different authors who are also questioning it. It's going to come out in my video series, Co-Vid, Chameleon, Hiding Real Sickness, because I think we are hiding real sickness, and we're doing a disservice to the public. A lot of people with the chronic comorbidities, that's nothing new. There have been comorbid people, I hate to say it that way, but we've been dealing with sick, chronically ill people for decades. We've encouraged it. We've piled on the maintenance drugs that has not shown any improvement. If you want to know more about maintenance drugs, how to cure diabetes, Dr. Sherry Rogers, she will talk to you. She has studies from the medical literature about these drugs are not changing lifespan. They're not changing quality of life. And they're doing more damage than they are doing health. Certain drugs are damaging to the mitochondria, and I talk about that in other videos. And if you don't have your mitochondria working, you don't have your energy factories in your cells, you're not going to respond well. You're going to be a sick person. So the hiding of real sickness, we're already sick. Can we get any sicker? It's just sad. The people with high COVID rates, the people suffering the most, have vitamin D deficiencies. So that's one angle we need to go in to and study. Why do we have so many people who are vitamin D deficient? And maybe there's a reason why we have certain hot spots. Maybe it's not quite so that there is a contagious virus disease spreading around. Maybe there's other reasons. I'm asking you to, for 5 minutes, just get that virus disease theory out of your mind and just ask yourself, are there other reasons for poor health? And I'm not asking you to change your whole mind, but we need to look at things seriously and sometimes delve back into history to see what happened a long, long time ago, and are we riding on false information based on shortcuts in the science? I know everybody wants to maintain their grant funding, and you're going to say what people want to hear, so you keep getting your grants. I'm going to talk about that too in the series. But I want to also mention, we have a lot of toxins in our environment. We have a lot of toxins in our food. They haven't gone away. And now we're slow, and it's slow. Gradual, it's been a gradual problem, so we don't notice this. What if we hit that critical mass of now people are getting sicker faster? Maybe the whole point is the toxins have just debilitated our cellular functioning. Let me mention glyphosate. Glyphosate has been around since the 90s now. So I would think younger people, people born before me, teenagers and children, they are already super toxic with glyphosate. I'm hoping people are detoxifying them. And I don't know. That's another direction I want to go into. How are we detoxifying? How are our bodies doing it? What more can we do to help? Because when you've got the glyphosate competing for the glycine molecules in your amino acids, you are not going to have the connective tissue resiliency you assume you're going to have. And why are people dying? Because they don't have connective tissue resiliency anymore. It doesn't take much now for a lung to fail, for a heart to fail, for a liver to fail. And that's a lack of resiliency in your connective tissues. I want to ask these questions so we can go farther, go deeper, and do the things we need to do to protect ourselves. We don't need to feel like we're sitting ducks. We don't need to feel like there's nothing more we can do, that washing your hands isn't even enough. Because hasn't mask wearing gone up, and now COVID cases have gone up? And when I say COVID case, we don't even know if somebody's actually sick. We just know it's a positive PCR test. So we know we can count on lab work, we can count how much cholesterol you have. And now we can count the RNA virus particles on a PCR test. What are we doing? Are we really making smart decisions? Because right now it's all guesswork. And this guesswork is putting us in deep problems as far as our relationships with each other, our ability to live freely in society, and there's so much fear, there's so much worry. Our children are going to be mentally damaged as they go into adulthood. What are we doing to our children? What are we doing to each other? So that's all I'm going to talk about today. I want to end on a positive note because I know you can improve your brain and you can detoxify your body. I know that, and I teach that to people with the BFA protocol, brain first always, because the brain makes the body so you can make your life. But you need to have the right building blocks for your body. You need to have the right thinking. You need to have chiropractic care. It's the baseline foundation of everything that I do and talk about here in the office. But you can learn about the BFA protocol even if you live far away from my chiropractic office. Just visit my website, look at the blog articles, look at the different videos, fill your minds with more information, and ask those questions because it's important. It's important, and you need to have confidence in your own healing abilities. And I know you've got it. I know you've got it. I just want you to believe and have that confidence. And I'll talk to you in the next video. Bye now.